Hey everyone, it's Aaron Nagler with Cheesehead TV, and I am joined by Matt Zembrowski, who let's just call him the brainchild of Dad's
I'll take
season
it.
tickets at
Yeah,
Milwaukee Rep. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For those that may not be aware, this show is a musical about Packer season tickets. When you say it out loud like that, I think most people in Wisconsin will go, "Yep, that's fodder for drama right there."
Yep.
Let's go back a little bit to, I mean, not just the start of this show, but the start of your fandom. Obviously, you see you wearing a jersey there. I'm
Oh yeah.
assuming you grew up as a Packers fan.
My journey to Packer fandom is not your usual track. I grew
Oh,
up actually,
interesting. All
yeah,
right.
I grew up a baseball fan, and I was talked into joining my fifth grade softball team because the guys on the team needed an extra player, and they said, "Hey, you don't trip over yourself. You should come and play softball." I'm like, I have no idea what that means.
Right.
And then when softball season ended, I needed something to occupy my time. And so I heard everybody talking about the Packers. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go check out what this football situation is all about. You got to understand that, unfortunately, my dad is one of those guys that never
Oh no.
forgave the Packers for leaving County Stadium.
Oh
So
no.
I
All right. All
know, I
right.
know.
I know. I
And
know the
there's
type.
Oh yeah, and there's a real ironic twist to that, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
All
But
right.
I never grew up watching any kind of football. I kind of discovered it on my own during that run. I think 1995 was my first season that I started paying attention,
Oh wow.
and I'm like, wow, this is really exciting. This must be how it always is,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Winning like
Right.
crazy.
I didn't have to deal with the 70s and 80s. This is
Oh,
great.
I was going to say, in some way, I do have to thank my dad for not letting me watch during the 80s and early 90s when I was growing up, because boy, there wasn't
Yeah.
much to cheer for.
No, no, there was not. Well, who did you have a favorite player as soon as you glommed onto the team?
I did, yeah, and it's actually again like everything else in my football life. I didn't take the easy path. My favorite player was Don Beebe.
Get out of town.
Totally,
That's
and I had a Don,
amazing.
yeah, and I had a Don Beebe jersey. I think it might still be at my parents' house in a box somewhere.
That's great.
But I was a scrawny little white kid, and so
Right.
I saw Don Beebe out there like
Instant
making crazy
identification.
plays, totally instant identification. Then, of course, I discovered that there were other guys like Robert Brooks and
Sure.
Antonio Freeman who are just making plays left and right too. It's like this is what a team is right here.
I love it. That's so awesome. So how did you go from, Packers fandom there, the young boy, man, whatever, growing up? How did you become a writer? What was the genesis there? How was there
Oh,
a particular show you saw, or what was the inspiration there?
well, here's the thing. The show Dad Season Tickets premiered at Northern Sky Theater, which used to be called American Folklore in Door County.
Door County, right? A
Yep,
sold out run, I
that's
hear.
right. It took all of us by surprise. We kind of figured it would be successful based on the name and the subject matter,
Sure.
but we had
Right.
no idea how successful it was really going to be. But I grew up going to see shows in the park. I
Nice.
Lumberjacks in Love and Belgians in Heaven and all those crazy shows that those
Yep.
guys used to do in the mid early 90s. I
So
loved
great.
watching those, and I had no inkling that I would ever have anything to do with theater until I got to high school. And again, I was a baseball fan, so I
Mhm.
played baseball and tennis and volleyball in high school. And all of a sudden, some of my friends said, "Hey, we're going to go see this musical. Do you want to come with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I got some friends who are in it. Why not?" And that show, I'm almost embarrassed to admit, was called Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I was the pharaoh in that show. Thank you very
No
much.
kidding.
No
Oh, that's
kidding. True
awesome. That's
story.
such
In
a
high
great
school, my
part.
senior year of high school. No,
Oh
no doubt about it.
man,
I love that show.
it
Love
is
that
such
show.
a great part.
Yeah.
And you get to hang out backstage with the rest of the
You
cast for like 3/4 of the show.
you legit do nothing and steal the show in 5
Right.
minutes. It's great. I love it.
That's
I
awesome.
love that you
That's
went to
really
see that. I
cool.
love that show.
I did. Yeah, I went to go see that, and I'm like, this looks like fun. This really looks like something that I could try out too. Because I went to a high school that was pretty small. I went to Dominican in Whitefish Bay,
All right. Shout
and
out Whitefish.
yeah, right. They gave us an opportunity to really try anything we wanted to. So I tried out for our fall show, and then I sort of made theater my calling with my sports fandom still perfectly intact.
Oh, it's so great. I love
Yeah,
that. Okay, so like you mentioned, the run in Door County,
yeah.
and I've been to that theater. It's a great venue.
Oh, it
Um,
really is. I know.
so what's the genesis of the play itself? I mean, I got to admit, when the Milwaukee Rep approached us about a partnership, they legit said it's a show about Packer season tickets and family. And I instantly said, oh, I'm in. Because it's just the inherent drama of that situation. It's happened in my family. I
Oh
know it's
yeah.
happened in Corey's family. Like, I think any Packers fan with even a tangential connection to season tickets instantly feels, oh, I get there's a story there. So how did this come about? Because it's just a germ of a great idea.
Well, so like all of my other ideas, I kind of went, how did no one think of this before? And
Right,
especially
seriously, it's so good.
how is there not a show that exists about this? It's such an important part of Wisconsin life. And so as soon as I realized that there wasn't, I started looking at different ways of approaching it. My initial idea actually was a show called Packerville, which had nothing to do with the family. It was actually had to do with a guy who finally got his season ticket letter. He finally was able to purchase them, and he's so excited that he drops dead. And his neighbors don't want the Packers to find out, because then the tickets, of course, will go back into the general pool.
Right.
And as I was working on that a little bit, I'm like, this is kind of dark. This is really dark. I should see.
Come on! Oh, you got to make a 2. The dad season.
Hey, if the Rep wants it, I'm there, man. Anyway, this show is actually. Are you familiar with the show King Lear, a Shakespeare play by?
Naturally, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
I am, sir. You were talking to a classically trained actor. Very
awesome.
Familiar with my Shakespeare.
Very good. Well, I'm going to pretend that you're not for the other people who are listening.
Fantastic. I'm sure plenty of people are like, King what? Who?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, please.
King Lear is a play by Shakespeare, and it's an aging monarch who decides one day that he is going to divide up his kingdom amongst his 3 daughters, based on how much they say they love him, which is like totally vain and totally awful way to go about doing anything. And of course, it ends up this horrible, terrible tragedy, and everybody dies, and it's awful. So I decided I am going to take that basic idea of a father whose kingdom is his season tickets, and he's going to have to see, because eventually, one day, he's not going to be around, and he wants to make sure that his tradition, this tradition of Packer season tickets, is going to stay in the family. So he has to decide which of his 3 daughters is going to inherit them. And they all go to extraordinary lengths to try to convince him that they should be the ones to receive them.
It's such a great idea. I can't even tell you how excited I'm coming to Milwaukee just to see this show.
You should let me know what it is. I live right down the street.
I am 100% going to see this show because it is such a great idea, and I love that it's a musical.
Yeah.
Like when they first kind of emailed us, and I was like, "Oh, it's a play," and like, "No, it's a musical." I was like, what? Like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see it. When do you guys open? I know the run's happening. Are you in previews? What's the timing here?
The first rehearsal is on Monday. The show opens on October 29th, and it goes through the new year. I think it closes on January 2nd. And so it's a big, long run for people to get a chance to see it. But I'm telling you, like, it's no exaggeration. Like, the first 2.5 weeks are already completely full. So really,
I'm not surprised. Absolutely. Well, we'll be pubbing it on Cheesehead TV. We'll probably have some ticket giveaways at some point.
Nice.
Matt, I can't thank you enough for joining me today on Cheesehead TV. Thanks so much for your time, man.
Absolutely. This is great. Thanks.